Upon my first video of Black Myth Wukong, it gave into the notion that Sun Wukong and his Chinese mythology lore would fit in perfectly into the Brawlhalla universe, because as we all know, or at least should, that there are multiple mythology pantheons within that universe, and world building. Somehow, I got comments mentioning Wushang, which is not Sun Wukong. They are both respectively two separate characters, although I do get what you mean, like how you're saying it is a reskin, but that got me thinking how the two are actually so different, like the yin to the yang, if you know what I mean. Rereading his backstory of how Wushang is so indifferent to Wukong, like the term Wu actually means enlightenment, for those of you who were not aware.
Oh my god! Wow!
And if you read Wushang's lore, he actually embodies that perfectly, whereas Wukong, however, while he does have some elements of that to him, well, just stick around and find out for those of you who aren't aware.
The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
So without further ado, let's get into Sun Wukong versus Wushang. At least personality-wise only anyways, because yes, this as an actual fight would be the equivalent of Wukong versus an ant. We do not know a whole lot about Wushang because, well, here it all is laid out to the public. However, we do have a lot to go off of Sun Wukong. So let's start there and work back and forth between the two in comparison with one another, as we go along with the warrior monk traveler that is Wushang. So the tale of Sun Wukong begins by being born within a mystical stone atop Flower Fruit Mountain. The stone, however, actually possesses the energy of Yang, the positive energy, and the earth itself is Yin. So born from a good living amongst evil is where we are kinda getting at here. So already you can kind of see how his personality could potentially shape up to be in the near future. In his earliest days, he joins up with some other monkeys who at first are a little puzzled by his aura, because, you know, he is from a magic rock and not like them. But since Wukong felt a connection with the others, he eventually ended up being friends. They even start playing games with one another due to Wukong's curiosity. He creates playful fun moments that even led to them going down a river at one point, and they make a pact that whoever finds the source of the stream first and comes out once again will become their king. So you guessed it, Wukong reminds them of their agreement, and that is how he became the Monkey King. A friendly reminder is nothing too crazy, personality-wise, but something to point out for future in the video when we do talk about his confrontation with heaven. Despite the good that comes with curiosity, also comes the bad, as one day he began questioning things he probably should not have, like the meaning of life and what all will mean if he and his friends will inevitably die. But that did not last long, as when just one of those friends dies, he travels long distances searching far and wide for a mortal to teach him how to cheat death. So when he does eventually find the person he is looking for, a martial artist named Putizushi, he begs him to teach him the ways and hidden secrets of immortality, and did not take no for an answer. So how does this compare to Wushang's first origin debut lines? Well, he led his emperor's army to victory after victory, and they enjoyed the spoils, I guess, except him. Yeah, his heart and soul was left rather empty, I'm afraid. He was tired of the bloodshed and just wanted to seek peace, sticking to his name, Wushang. But then, one day, when he was broke as a joke, he just so happened to come across a monastery. The monks, although it does not state why, took him in and taught him the ways of peace and discipline, and their own form of martial arts. So while Wukong was learning the ways of immortality through fear of losing his loved ones, Wushang learned it because he was broke and depressed and miserable with the life he chose for himself. Pretty cool and rather interesting comparison of beginnings if you ask me. So far personality-wise, Wushang was someone who used to always be thirsty for violence, as well as an insatiable bloodlust for war, whereas Sun Wukong was always more pure in his earliest days. Makes sense. Back on track with Wukong, since his master had now forbid him from teaching this to anyone else, he simply gives a fair and honest answer to anyone asking how he can do what he does by saying he learnt it in his dreams. But when the Demon King pulls up, kidnapping the monkeys for his own agenda, without hesitation, kills him, saving the day. In search of a weapon out of fear for something like this to happen again, he travels until he finds an underwater kingdom. But this is where his personality could be argued to take a slight shift. Hey, I ain't saying he has multiple personality disorder, but just hear me out. He barges in, ignoring Dragon King Aoguango, telling them he must be confused for rejecting another fellow king?
What? What the fuck?
Homie's ego must have skyrocketed worse than KSI with that statement. I mean, at least he can kinda back it up, right? He did defeat the Demon King of Confusion without a weapon, so...
Shut your dumb ass up!
He insists that the Dragon King give him a weapon, so they do. He acquires the Ryu Jingu Bang, a staff that can grow to any size he wants it to. His mind is literally his imagination with that weapon now. And it doesn't matter what size it is either, because he is the only one strong enough to lift it. When he doesn't need it, he reduces it down to the size of a needle to put it in his hair. Upon return to his home, he demonstrates the new weapon to the other monkeys. You could argue this is a little bit of showboating, but I digress. Erases his name from the Book of Death, making it so he 100% now cannot die, furthering his immortality, where he then goes on to heaven to free all of the cloud horses from the stable, as because he discovered that he had been anointed to the lowest position in heaven. Returns to his own home and proclaims himself, again, the great sage, equal to heaven. Oh, if only Pooty Zushi can see you now. The Jade Emperor is advised not to rush into battle with the Monkey King because of a risk of failure and damage to reputation. Now, back to the topic of Wushang. In this point in his story, his mind grew clear to the decision to not need to kill. Kinda reminds me of Kratos' character arc in God of War. But his emperor sent agents to attack the temple, probably because he thought Wushang was betraying his own. However, Wushang did not hurt a single hair on their head and defeated them all. Furthermore, to protect it, he took up a path of wandering because he had a target on his back from his past, and he then honed the powers of influence to eventually sneak past the Emperor's horse stable and turn them against him. Now, these two storylines at this point in time are pretty clear. Although Wushang has sought enlightenment and peace, he is still the badass when he needs to be, even using cunning tricks when he needs to, and willing to do so against one of his own, for the sake of the people who taught him the way of kindness and prosperity. Whereas Sun Wukong, however, is just straight arrogant and brash and bullheaded when it comes to people trying to take the piss out of him. That came out wrong, trying to mock him by giving him lower positions of authority in heaven than himself. Heck, he's out here giving himself self-proclaimed titles such as the Great Sage, and before that it was Monkey King. Not to mention he was showboating with the Ryu Jingu Bang to other fellow monkeys when he got back from the underwater sea temple. But it gets worse. When Sun Wukong discovers that he has not been invited to this special banquet going on in heaven, enraged, sneaks the food and drinks the royal wine, whilst in a drunken state, steals and consumes immortality pills, and Shi Wang Mu's immortality peaches and escapes in preparation for the rebellion. Out of frustration and desperation, the Jade Emperor regrets not dealing with Wukong peacefully and declares war. However, Wukong laughs as he single-handedly defeats the 100,000 celestial warriors of the Army of Heaven, as well as the 28 constellation guards.
Damn!
It got so bad he made a bet with Buddha that he can be the new Jade Emperor if he reached the end of the universe, except in this mythology, they consider the universe infinite, so Wukong lost a bet he never had a chance to win. And that pretty much sums up Sun Wukong personality-wise for the most part. Feels like I have said that one a lot throughout this video, but nevertheless, allow us to move on to Wushang for the final time in this comparison. After looking for enlightenment in every corner of the world, he allowed himself to be captured and he was later imprisoned inside an actual volcano. After breathing in the silent energy of that volcano, that is where it happened.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Just kidding. That is where he knew he had found peace. Projecting himself, he traversed the astral plane until a Valkyrie led him straight to Brawlhalla. Side note, Wushang can dimension travel? What? Okay, so that is going to do it for Sun Wukong versus Wushang. Hope you guys enjoyed this little deep dive here. Last Wukong video, I promise. I mean, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is literally 2 weeks away, and this channel might take a slight shift from here on out once that releases, honestly. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, almost at 1K. I would humbly appreciate that. I cannot remember the last time I directly asked someone to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll catch you in the next one.